All right. Oh, that was cool. All right. Facebook, namaste. God bless. How are all of you? Put that in slow motion. Happy Friday, man. What's going on? I got a lot of stuff tonight, man. A lot of stuff. Uh, you know, they say sometimes you got to step back in order to move forward, or the setback is a setup, that kind of thing. I never believed that. I was like, bullshit, I'm better than that. But it's so true in life, because we create our own setbacks, and we also can create our own setups. That's why I got the old tie-dye Superman shirt on tonight, man. But I'm going to read you some sad words, though. I want you guys, because we've all kind of been there. We've all kind of been there in our lives. My story is one that I love sharing. I love sharing the demise of me, because it was the setback that was the setup to where I wanted to go and are still going. So here we go. I got a slow connection on Facebook. Come on, get back and reel. And there you go. That's even better. But these sad words came from a renowned rock star back in the 90s. I'm going to read it for you guys. And when I saw this just before coming on, I was like, ugh, this is the foundation to what I want to bring tonight. But I've always looked for the perfect life to step into. We all can kind of relate to that, huh? We've always looked for that perfect life we've always wanted. Had high expectations, had all these things in mind, but and shit happens and over again. He goes on to say, I've taken all the paths to get where I wanted, but no matter where I go, I still come home to me. And what was Lane Stolly, I apologize, or Stolly, forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. I was a fan, but I can't pronounce his name very well, of Alice in Chains. He was a huge 90s star back then. And it doesn't matter. I mean, this guy was a millionaire 14 times over, had everything you've always wanted, ended up speedballing himself to death. And they found him a couple weeks later in his apartment. It doesn't matter what you have on the outside. It's who you are on the inside. He obviously kept stepping back into that old person and resorting to trying to change his mind with artificial substances to break it down. And it ultimately took his life. He was 6 feet tall. He weighed 80 pounds when the last person saw him a couple weeks before his death. So his setback was his mentality. He didn't understand how to set it up, whether through mental illness or whatever it might be. My situation in general, like that, mine, like an echo here. My situation was very, very unique, but when I understood why and where I was, it took a hurricane to really change me. Yeah, you're thinking, what? It was October 29th, 2012. God, it's going to be over a decade since Sandy hit us back in 2012. And here I am in this cement block, 12 by 12 motel room, living a life, trying to take care of my kids, and then get snowed in for almost 2 weeks with no lights and no heat, no food, no money to buy food. Couldn't start the car. It was leaking fluid, so I couldn't even get warm. Remember, I had my trusty dog and my cat they both were still alive at the time. We had like 6 comforters on us, and it was just cold because we were living in this icebox. And it's funny, I was talking about icebox cake. That's basically what I was. Basically an icebox cake, stuck in this place for days. And if you guys ever fasted before and you haven't eaten for days, that shit hurts. Your body starts to eat itself alive, to stay alive. It starts burning off the fat. And I can honestly remember those days with no lights. All I had was like a bunch of tea candles, and I lit them, at least 20 of them in the room. Such a fire hazard, or the carbon monoxide, whatever it might have caused in there. But I had to try to find a way to get heat. So what I did was I had a small chair. I put it right next to the window during the daylight when I was stuck there, because I couldn't get to work, whatever work I was doing. I wasn't paying enough anyway. I couldn't buy food. And I remember the only book I had was, I found this at a flea market a couple years earlier, and I thought I'd be slick and I'd buy it. It was $1, and it was a Bible. And this is not a Bible show, my friends. No, this is not a Bible show. And I tried to read this for like a day or so, and I couldn't understand it. It wasn't coming. I didn't understand how everything was so perfect in there, or can be so perfect in life. But yet here I am sitting in this 12 by 12, surrounded by cement and freezing my ass off. It just didn't make sense to me. So I tried and tried and tried. Now the quote box tonight, what you live in is what you bring in. This is where my setback, or what was a setup for the future, it was realizing that I was the creator of all that. And I say it a lot here in America's Mentor, because of the persistent existing for a longer than usual period of time thought that I was in. I thought that I was a complete failure at that time. I couldn't pay child support. I couldn't do anything literally to sustain a basic lifestyle. Everything was just a total shithouse for me. The next word is dwell, because if you dwell in these kind of thoughts and feelings, like sadly Lane did, he dwelled in the fact of who he was and couldn't be happy and couldn't find his happiness, even though he had all this abundance in his life. He still couldn't find it, and eventually sabotaged and self-sabotaged himself 6 feet under. We all do the same thing, but it's a few that realize the true power that we have. When you dwell to remain for a time, to keep the attention directed, it becomes a dwelling of your future. That this is the setback for the setup mantra that I mentioned in the very beginning. A setback is awesome, and this is what helped me so much, because finally when the lights came on, finally after trying to figure this shit out, which I couldn't do, the lights came on, 2 weeks later, and this is when YouTube was just in its infancy. This is 2012. It's only been on the air maybe 6 or 7 years, and I had a desktop. I was able to go in the office and actually watch videos, and this video popped up. And this guy eventually became my hero. And his name is called Neville Goddard. And the first video that popped up, and I'll never forget it, it was actually uploaded from a record player. You can still hear the static on there. And I actually listened to that a couple days ago. And the recording was how to live in the fulfilled desire. I was like, I have all these desires, but I don't have the desires. And what he did, which was brilliant, and this is basically what I become. He took this and he flipped it. What he did was he gave it a new perspective. He gave all these sacred positive words a whole new perspective that I was looking for. And not in any kind of religion per se, no, because when we're at our lowest, we always go for our faith, whatever faith it might be. It could be faith in Jesus Christ or a watermelon. The first thing we do is we grab hold of what will help us and make us feel better. And he not only opened up a whole Pandora's box for me in a good way of how to approach life, when I realized that I was wearing this shirt for a reason, because I was one of them. And I'm going to read you the exact passage out of that show that I listened to that really started this whole thing for me, because for the next 10 years, it was just an edification of who I was as a person. You can't change the outside world if you're still the same person that you are. If you keep recreating all the situations and scenarios, it's because you're the same person that you are. And you could follow the path of Lane, or spend the next 20, 30 years miring in this guilt or remorse or failure or anger, whatever it might be in your life, and start living in that. Hence, it creates a dwelling of thought, a concrete anchored thought in your life that you can't get out of. Here I am, and I'm going to go right to it before I get back to that. It's so fitting because I didn't believe it, but it said it directly in there. Listen to this passage from Corinthians. Examine yourselves. What's that? That's called a step back, or a step back in life. Test yourselves. Start thinking better. Or do you not realize about yourselves that Jesus Christ is within you? And what does that mean? That's not some guy with a beard, man. I want to make that straight. This is the beauty of what Neville was explaining. Yes, we have the power. Yes, we have all these things. Yes, this book is an inspirational book. That's great. But what is he talking about, Jesus Christ? The same power to create anything we want. Well, how do you do it? Okay, fine. Your imagination. And if you guys can grasp this for yourself, that's the secret he was talking about when he's saying that Jesus Christ lives within you. It's your own wonderful human imagination. Because what you persist in thought will harden in the fact. And that was his notable words, because he was absolutely right. We are basically supermen and or superwomen, or whatever pronoun you want to use. We have this ability to create anything we want in life. But until we realize the power, sometimes we have to realize it by falling down hard. And a lot of us have done that either with a diagnosis, or like I was financially after my marriage ended many moons ago, or a situation where you lose your job. You know, when you realize you created this, you can recreate whatever you want. This is the beauty of life, man. This is the beauty of life, is that we have the same power as they were noting in these scriptures. But they were saying you have to use your imagination. That's why Einstein was so proficient in imagination, because it's an energy force. And what he was saying about how to live in the fulfilled desire, you keep imagining what you want on a constant level. All you can do is create that. And he was absolutely right, because a lot of us are imagining shit. And we keep recreating shit. And we're wondering why all this shit keeps happening, because we keep thinking about it. It's a really simple setup. I didn't get it. I spent the first 30 years of this working life. Here I am, 45 years old, in a 12 by 12 concrete room. I said, this is all there is? And I was so grateful to be stuck in there, because being stuck in there put me in a place to really look at my life. And hopefully you guys find a place where you're stuck. And it says directly, examine yourself. That's what I had to do. Test yourselves. How fitting is when certain things happen in your life. These synchronicities pop up, not as a destiny, but as information for you to better yourself. We're all better than this. We're all better than who we want to be in life. We just got to imagine a better place to live in, to dwell in every single day. In whatever dimension of time that might be, past, present, or future. Present is only your perception of whatever you want to live in. So I imagine everything. I imagine this place. It's funny because I was looking at this place in Florida many moons ago, and I loved the setup. I loved the loft, the open space, ceilings, blah, blah. And here I am, all of a sudden get a call that there's an apartment available. I'm like, okay, fine. I can finally get out of this rat hole. And I walk into the first place, and it's exactly what I was imagining and writing down in my journal. This is not happenstance, guys. This is your own wonderful human imagination in action. You have to believe it for yourselves, not for me, not for anybody in this life. But if you're experiencing this, especially latter in life, you think that this is it. Well, it's your choice if it's it or not. You have this choice to believe in yourself. All things are ready if our mind be so. Shakespeare said that, and I spent the next 10 years, I think, with about 600 books in my ear, constantly playing. I said, wait, he was right. There's a lot better in this world, but you got to think. There's a lot better in this world. And Shakespeare goes on to say, he which is was wished until he were. In other words, he imagined it. He believed it until he was it. How did these guys know this stuff, man? This is what they were saying. Do you not realize that Jesus Christ is within you? The same creation imaginational power that was sent out back then is what we have right now. It's a hard fact for people to realize, but like I said, I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to teach. I'm just sharing information with you guys to truly understand how to live in a fulfilled, desired life. Only requires you to choose a dimension, past, present, or future. Imagine what you want to have, be, and do on a constant level, and it can't help but harden into fact. And it already has in everything you've done. But it's not what you've wanted. I can guarantee for the majority of you. I was there. Indeed, I was there. And I kept imagining not having food. And I kept not having food, man. I kept imagining not finding the right job. There you go. Here I am, unemployed again. It was a perpetual hamster wheel cycle of thinking. Until I changed how I was thinking about things, I changed how I brought things into my life. It's the epiphany we all need. Because a lot of us hit that day where we get the diagnosis or the big C word or the big D word or something has happened in our life for us to finally realize, wait, I better fix my life. Guys, it's all fixable by your wonderful human imagination. And persistent thought will bring you persistent results. If you're not fulfilled in what you have in life, please edify yourself, examine yourself, test yourself to see if it works. It's an amazing tool, a power tool that we have. The wonderful human imagination. It's like the greatest nation in the world that we have between our left and right ear, or wherever it might be, wherever they put it. It's still the most unknown thing, or whatever it might be. It's just this aura of energy that they're trying to figure out. But we have the power to use it. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Whether you guys believe it or not is totally up to you. But if your life is not in the right place, it's because you thought it would be in the right place. I can almost guarantee that. So think about it for yourselves, guys. Really, think about it. I'm going to check my internet. I keep getting a slow connection here, hopefully, guys. So America's Mentor _radio on Instagram, at America's Mentor on Twitter, at America's Mentor on YouTube. Guys, thank you for the Jackson views. Hopefully that this broadcast came through. I'm going to double check it. But what you live in is what you bring in. I mentioned that on the last show. What dimension of time are you dwelling in? Because from that dwelling in life, it's going to create a structure that you probably don't want to have being doing life. You got to realize our thought process is a powerful component for our lives. It's everything about us. It's the starting point for everything we want and or don't want. So happy Friday to you guys. I hope this helped, and I'll talk to you guys soon, man.